What does it feel like to watch a country hold the sky? Not defend it, not try to defend it, actually hold it, like it belongs to them, like the air above a billion people is sacred ground, and nobody's getting through. Most people never think about that question. They go about their lives, they read headlines, they scroll past the noise, and then one day something happens. Something so large, so terrifying, so impossibly dramatic that the whole world stops and stares. And in that moment of global silence, you realize that you've been underestimating one country for a very, very long time. That country is India. And the moment I am talking about happened on the 7th of May, 2025. What unfolded in those hours and in the days that followed was not just a military event. It was not just a news story. It was a revelation, a demonstration delivered in fire and steel of something that India had quietly been building for 20 years while the world looked elsewhere. I want to tell you that story, layer by layer, missile by missile, decision by decision. Because what India did in the skies above its cities and military bases in those 88 hours is one of the most extraordinary things any nation has done in the modern era of warfare. And the world deserves to understand exactly how it happened and exactly what it means. So let me ask you again, this time with the weight it deserves. What does it feel like to watch a country hold the sky? By the end of this story, you will know. Picture this. On the evening of May 7th, 2025, everything seemed normal in India. Then suddenly a massive attack began from across the border. Missiles were launched. Drones flew in large groups. Ballistic and cruise missiles filled the sky. Kamikaze drones moved together in packs. All of them were aimed at India. This became the biggest air attack ever seen in South Asia. Hundreds of weapons were fired again and again for 88 hours, almost 4 days and nights. Imagine the fear for people on the ground, families at home, soldiers on duty, and commanders making quick decisions to stop each threat. Now here is the shocking part. How many attacks hit Indian military targets? Not one. No base was destroyed. No runway was damaged. No radar stopped working. Every major target stayed safe. This was not luck. It was because of a strong defense system. India had spent 20 years building a powerful, layered air defense. When the real test came, it worked perfectly. Even with over 100 fighter jets in the air and non-stop attacks, India's defense held strong. The world was shocked and asked, how did India do this? The answer lies in its smart, layered defense system. Let's understand it step by step. Let's start from the outermost layer of defense. This is the very first line, so far from India that most people would not even think the battle has started. It begins at around 400 kilometers away. This is where the S-400 system operates. If you follow world defense news, you may have heard of it. The S-400 Triumph is a powerful air defense system made by Russia. It is so strong and important that when India decided to buy it, the United States warned India. They said India could face sanctions under a law called CATSA if it bought this system. India saw that warning and still decided to buy the S-400. India spent about $5.5 billion and bought 3 full regiments. These were deployed and made ready for use. To understand why India took this risk, you need to understand what the S-400 can actually do. One S-400 regiment can protect an area as large as a small country. Its radar can detect targets from as far as 600 kilometers away. This means it can see enemy aircraft or missiles long before they come close. It can track their speed, height, and direction, and already plan how to destroy them. Then its engagement radar locks onto the target and guides missiles with great accuracy. The system uses different types of missiles. Some work at shorter ranges, like 40 kilometers. Others, like the 4ON-6E missile, can hit targets up to 400 kilometers away. So one system can protect a very large area from many types of threats. But its real power was shown on May 8, 2025. On that day, an Indian S-400 unit detected a Pakistani Saab 2000 airborne warning aircraft from 314 kilometers away. This type of aircraft is not a weapon, but it is very important. It acts like the brain of air operations. It helps control, guide, and coordinate other aircraft. Destroying it is a big loss for the enemy. The S-400 locked onto the target. One missile was fired. The aircraft was destroyed. This became one of the longest-range air defense kills ever recorded in history. Experts around the world called it a historic moment. The Indian Air Force also confirmed it. Think about this distance, 314 kilometers. A normal airplane would take around 40 minutes to travel that far, but India was able to hit the target with a single missile from that distance. After this aircraft was destroyed, Pakistan's air coordination in that area started to break down. Their ability to see and control the battle became weaker. A few days later, another similar aircraft was destroyed on the ground by a BrahMos missile strike. Within 4 days, 2 of Pakistan's most important airborne command aircraft were gone. The decision India made years earlier to ignore pressure and buy the S-400 proved very important. That one decision helped India gain a strong advantage even before the full attack began. This is what long-term planning and strong strategic thinking look like. Now move closer to India, about 70 to 100 kilometers away. This is the next layer of defense. Here we find the Barak 8 system. It was built together by India and Israel and is made in Hyderabad. What makes Barak 8 special is its smart missile. Unlike older systems, it does not need constant guidance from the ground. Once launched, the missile finds and hits the target on its own. This is called fire and forget. Because of this, one system can handle many threats at the same time. This is very important during heavy attacks when many missiles are coming together. During Operation Sindoor, a Barak 8 system stopped incoming Pakistani rockets heading towards Sirsa in Haryana. The destroyed parts were later shown as proof. Barak 8 is also used on Indian Navy ships, including destroyers, frigates, and the aircraft carrier INS Vikrant. This means India can defend both land and sea. The system has become very successful and is now worth billions of dollars. The India-Israel partnership that created Barak 8 proved its strength during the 2025 attacks. Here is a question worth sitting with for a moment. What happens when a country decides to build something that most of the world thinks it cannot build? There are 2 possible answers. It fails and the skeptics feel vindicated, or it succeeds and the skeptics go very quiet. In the 1980s, India's Defense Research and Development Organization, the DRDO, set out to build an indigenous surface-to-air missile. Not buy one, not license produce one, build one from concept to component to field-deployed system, using Indian engineering, Indian science, and Indian industrial capability. The result was Akash. Akash is a medium-range air defense missile. It is ramjet-powered, meaning it sustains thrust throughout its flight rather than coasting after the initial boost, giving it more energy, more maneuverability, more lethality at range. It flies at Mach 2.5. Its fire control radar, called Rajendra, is a phased array system capable of simultaneously tracking 64 different targets and guiding up to 12 Akash missiles at once. That is 12 simultaneous engagements from a single battery. The base version of Akash reaches out to 25 kilometers. The upgraded Akash 1S, which incorporates a fully indigenous seeker, one designed and built in India, removing dependency on foreign components, pushes that range to 45 kilometers. Akash Prime improved the seeker further and tuned the system for high-altitude interceptions. And the next generation, Akash NG, brings faster reaction times and a new solid-fuel motor specifically designed to handle 2 of the hardest problems in modern air defense: low radar signature targets and saturation attacks, the kind where an adversary throws so many projectiles simultaneously that the defending system is overwhelmed. Every component of Akash is Indian: the radar, the launcher, the missile, the command system, everything. During Operation Sindoor, Akash batteries were engaged in live intercepts. Indian defense officials specifically praised the system in post-operation briefings, citing it as a critical component of the layered defensive response. The system that started as an ambitious domestic dream in the 1980s performed in actual combat in 2025. And then something happened that perhaps no one who doubted DRDO's abilities could have predicted. Other countries started buying it. Armenia signed a contract worth 6,000 crore rupees. The first battery was delivered in November 2024 on schedule, functional, and operational. Vietnam has expressed interest. Egypt has expressed interest. The Philippines has expressed interest. A missile that skeptics once dismissed as a vanity project of an overambitious defense establishment is now protecting the skies of other sovereign nations. The missile nobody believed India could build is now being exported by India to the world. Feel that for a moment. Really feel it. There is a line that separates the world most people understand from a world that feels like science fiction. That line is the edge of the atmosphere. Below it, aircraft fly, missiles streak, drones buzz, and air defense systems track and destroy. It is a violent, fast-moving environment. But above it, in the cold, silent vacuum of space warfare is different. The physics change. The speeds become almost incomprehensible, and the weapons that operate there are among the most complex ever created by human beings. On November 2nd, 2022, India crossed that line. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, physically. India launched a two-stage ballistic missile defense interceptor known as the AD-1 over the Bay of Bengal. The target was a simulated ballistic missile with a range of 5,000 kilometers, the kind of weapon that carries nuclear warheads between continents. The AD-1 climbed out of the atmosphere. The kill vehicle separated from the booster. In the silence of space far above the reach of any aircraft, it fired tiny micro-thrusters to adjust its course with millimeter-level precision. It activated its infrared seeker, a sensor that detects the heat signature of its target against the cold backdrop of space, and then it closed. The closing speed was more than 10 kilometers per second. To put that in context, a bullet fired from a rifle travels roughly 1 kilometer per second. The AD-1's kill vehicle was moving 10 times faster than a bullet and hitting a target roughly the size of a car. No explosive warhead, no proximity detonation, pure kinetic energy. The collision itself was the weapon. The test was a success. With that single test, India demonstrated Phase 2 of its ballistic missile defense program, a capability to intercept nuclear-armed ballistic missiles above the atmosphere, in the exo-atmospheric layer, before they can begin their descent toward Indian cities. Inside the atmosphere, a second interceptor, called the AAD, the Advanced Air Defense System, covers the altitude band from 15 to 40 kilometers. Any ballistic missile that somehow survives the exo-atmospheric intercept layer faces the AAD on its way down. 2 chances to stop it, 2 kill chains, 2 bites at a threat that could carry a nuclear payload. Phase 1 of the system already protects New Delhi and Mumbai, India's capital, and its financial heart. Phase 2 will extend that protective umbrella to every major city in India. And then there is the moment that made the entire world pay attention to a different dimension of India's defense capability. March 27, 2019. India fired a modified interceptor missile at a live satellite orbiting 300 kilometers above the Earth. Direct hit. Total destruction. At that moment, only 3 countries had ever demonstrated that capability: the United States, Russia, and China. India became the 4th. The message that demonstration sent was not subtle. It did not need to be. If you rely on satellites for communication, for navigation, for intelligence, for targeting, and every modern military does, then you need to think very carefully before you provoke a country that has publicly demonstrated it can reach up and destroy those satellites. India did not make a speech. India did not issue a warning. India lit up a satellite 300 kilometers above the Earth and let the math do the talking. Now here is the part of this story that surprises almost everyone who hears it. All of those sophisticated systems, the S-400, the Barak 8, the Ajax, the ballistic missile interceptors, they are extraordinary. But they share one characteristic that becomes a problem in a very specific kind of attack. They cost money, sometimes a great deal of money. And when the weapon coming at you costs $1,000 and the weapon you're using to stop it costs $1 million, your enemy has found a way to bleed you without ever winning a single engagement. That was Pakistan's calculation with its drone campaign during Operation Sindoor. Roughly 600 unmanned aerial systems were deployed against India. Winglungs, Chapars, Turkish-made kamikaze drones, cheap swarms of disposable unmanned platforms, some costing less than a used car. The strategy was simple and ancient: flood the defenses, exhaust the interceptors, overwhelm the system through sheer volume, and let a few through to do damage. It did not work. And the reason it did not work is one of the most beautifully counterintuitive things about India's air defense approach. A significant share of the drone kills during Operation Sindoor were achieved not by missiles, not by sophisticated interceptor systems, but by guns, specifically by a Bofors L-70 cannon, a weapon originally designed in 1951, 40 millimeter, 300 rounds per minute. India took a 70-year-old anti-aircraft cannon and equipped it with a modern artificial intelligence fire control system. The AI calculates lead distance, how far ahead of a moving target you need to aim, so the round arrives at the same point as the target. It factors in wind. It factors in the target's velocity. It adjusts in real time. And it turns a weapon that predates the jet age into a precision drone-killing machine that operates at a cost of dollars per engagement rather than millions. Think about what that does to Pakistan's calculation. They expected India to burn through expensive missiles, neutralizing cheap drones. They expected the cost ratio to work in their favor. They expected attrition to win what precision could not. Instead, India sent guns to do the work of missiles, flipped the entire cost equation inside out, and made the drone swarm strategy economically pointless. $1,000 drone destroyed by a cannon round that costs almost nothing. Dozens of them, hundreds of them. Pakistan's drone campaign, which was supposed to be an asymmetric advantage, became an asymmetric waste. And India is not stopping there. The lessons of Sindoor are already being applied to the next generation of counter-drone capability, dedicated jamming systems that disrupt the communication links that control drone swarms, GPS spoofing systems that send drones flying in the wrong direction, interceptor drones, autonomous aerial defenders that chase and destroy enemy unmanned systems in the air, laser dazzlers that blind sensors and cameras. The full spectrum of counter-drone technology being developed and fielded because India recognized, even before Sindoor, that the age of the swarm was coming. When it arrived, India was ready. Every individual system in this story, the S-400, the Barak 8, the Ajax, the guns, the interceptors, the anti-satellite weapons, each of them is impressive on its own. But here's the truth that separates a collection of impressive weapons from an actual defense architecture. None of it matters if they cannot talk to each other. An air defense system is only as good as the network connecting its sensors, its decision makers, and its weapons. If one battery detects a threat but cannot share that information with other batteries in real time, you get gaps. If a radar spots an incoming missile, but the nearest interceptor does not receive the targeting data immediately, you lose precious seconds. In air defense, seconds are not a small thing. Seconds are the difference between an interception and a catastrophe. India built IADCS, the Integrated Air Defense Command System, widely referred to as Ajax in operational discussions. And what Ajax does is nothing less than create a single unified brain for the entire air defense apparatus. Every radar in India feeds into it. Airborne early warning and control aircraft circling above, with their powerful sensors that can see farther and lower than ground-based radars, feed into it. Electronic warfare vehicles operating on the ground feed into it. Every sensor, every eye, every ear, all of it flows into one real-time composite picture of the entire airspace above the subcontinent. When a missile launches from Pakistani territory, Ajax sees it. It classifies the threat, what kind of weapon, what trajectory, what likely target, what speed. It identifies the optimal interceptor for that specific threat. It assigns the engagement to the appropriate system, S-400 for the long-range kill, Barak 8 for the medium-range intercept, a cache for the closer threats, guns for the drones. And it does all of this in seconds, automated, sensor to shooter, with minimal human delay in the loop. During Operation Sindoor, Ajax managed simultaneous, overlapping threats across the entire Western Front. Hundreds of incoming systems from multiple directions, at multiple altitudes, of multiple types, all arriving in waves designed to overwhelm. Ajax did not overwhelm. It prioritized, it allocated, it fired, and it won. On the other side of the border, Pakistan's Chinese-supplied HQ-9 air defense batteries experienced a 50% failure rate against Indian BrahMos cruise missiles. Indian Harop and Harpy kamikaze drones, aerial loitering munitions that hunt radar emissions, systematically targeted Pakistani radar installations at Chunian and Pasra. When you destroy the radars, you blind the defense. And without working air defense, everything above Pakistan became contested and then controlled airspace. Under the sustained pressure of India's integrated offensive and defensive operations, Pakistan's air defense network effectively collapsed. Not in one dramatic moment, but gradually, methodically, as each component was targeted, degraded, and neutralized. India's network did not collapse, it adapted. It held, it won. Everything you have read so far is history now. It is the past. The systems described, the S-400, the Barak 8, the Akash, the IADCS, these are deployed. They have been tested. They have been proven. But India is not done. Project Kusha, this is India's next-generation long-range air defense program, fully indigenous, built by DRDO without foreign partnership, without technology transfer agreements, without dependence on another country's supply chain or political goodwill. 3 interceptor variants are in development. The M1, effective to 150 kilometers, the M2, reaching out to 250, and the M3, with a kill range of 350 to 400 kilometers, putting it in direct competition with the S-400 that India currently operates. 1 launcher, 3 different kill chains, total flexibility depending on the threat. The budget allocated is over 21,700 crore rupees. Testing is already underway. Deployment is targeted for the period between 2028 and 2029. India is not just maintaining its air defense capability for the future. India is building toward the day when it no longer needs to buy that capability from anyone else. Then there is Surya. Surya is a directed energy weapon, a laser system, a 300-kilowatt laser designed to destroy drones and cruise missiles, not with explosive force, but with focused light energy, delivering heat intense enough to compromise the structural integrity of a target at the speed of, quite literally, light. DRDO reports the system is being developed entirely in-house. A demonstration is targeted for 2027. The cost per engagement, if the technology delivers on its promise, will be measured in fractions of a rupee. Pennies per shot against a swarm of drones that might otherwise require million-dollar interceptors to neutralize. Beyond that, India is developing electromagnetic railgun technology, anti-hypersonic interceptors specifically designed to destroy Mach-10 glide vehicles, weapons like China's DF-17, which travel so fast and maneuver so unpredictably that most conventional air defense systems cannot engage them effectively. And at the apex of all of it, an artificial intelligence-driven battle management system that would network every sensor, every launcher, every satellite, and every gun into a single unified defensive dome over the entire subcontinent. Radars spread across thousands of kilometers. Machine learning algorithms allocating interceptors in milliseconds, faster than any human decision-making process could match. The direction is clear, the ambition is unmistakable, and after what happened in May 2025, the credibility is beyond question. After Operation Sindoor, many countries studied India's air defense and asked, how did India do this? The answer was not one system, but many systems working together. Long-range, medium-range, and short-range defenses, along with guns for drones, were all connected by a central system, Ajax, that controlled everything in real time. The biggest strength was not one weapon, but the full system working together. India built this over 20 years with steady planning and investment. When a massive air attack happened, the system worked perfectly and proved its strength. Because of this, the world now sees India differently. India is no longer just buying defense systems. It can also build and sell them. It showed that modern defense is about smart, connected systems, not just expensive weapons. Many people had doubts before. They thought India's defense industry was slow or weak. They believed India depended on other countries. But they were wrong. Even with challenges and fewer resources, India built strong and reliable systems. This success was not luck or quick fixes. It was the result of careful planning and hard work. Earlier, India struggled to stop even simple threats. Now it can stop missiles, aircraft, and drone attacks all at once. And this is just the beginning. India is still improving in building more advanced systems for the future. India did not buy this power, India built it. Now the world is watching what India will do next.